gentlemen, buckle up and start your engines. Uh, I don't know. I guess the power rankings videos are being upgraded, uh, and they just required more than me talking into my phone. So here we are, um, NFL power rankings week number 9 for the league. Let's get right into it. I wanted to do a draft retrospective, looking back at the awesome day that was in late August when we all got together in person for the first time, and sadly the only time thus far that we've all been together, but hopefully we can change that here. Um, and look back, there were 24 rounds of the draft. I was not doing all of them. I love you boys. I don't love you all that much. I took the first 5 rounds, and here's what I did. You'll see here, those are the first 5 rounds, picks, owners, players, the position in which they're taken. So if you look at the top here, uh, wide receiver, Jamar Chase, he was the first wide receiver taken. Justin Jefferson was the second, etc. So that's how we did it. And then they're ranked based on their total points, which is their position rank, and their position average, because some guys have had bye weeks, some haven't, some have been injured, that sort of thing. As teachers probably always told all of us, show your work. So here I am showing my work on this one. Yeah, first 5. This does account for some trades. Part of the reason why I only chose 5 rounds is because there's been so many trades, which has been a blast and I've had a lot of fun with, but just too many variables. It is hard to account for trades for future draft picks. However, don't fret, John. I did try and do a little bit of that based on kind of my own personal opinions, which these might be facts, but they are also personal opinions. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. All right, let's get rolling. So, in last place, as we always start, is Rory. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, honestly, this really comes down to your trade or trades, specifically the one with Matt. Obviously, took Barkley with the 4th overall pick, and fair enough. Second RB off the board. He hasn't totally lived up to that, but he also hasn't crashed off a cliff the way some expected him to, the whole Madden curse and all that. But you also gave away Jalen Hurts, who was beyond a serviceable QB, 7th overall, 4th in the average. You gave both those away in that trade to Matt, and you essentially got Justice Hill, who, even as a Ravens fan, is like he's a QB3 or RB3 on the Ravens at best. He did get a touchdown last week, I know, but come on. And Jared Goff. So you downgraded uh, heavily at running back. You downgraded solidly at quarterback. Um, and you basically ended up with a first round pick for it. And I don't think that was there. So that puts you in 12th place. Bowers and Worthy and Swift were your other ones. Swift you traded away essentially for Cortland Sutton as part of a package to Nathan. He was a better pick of yours, and you got close to the same out of Cortland Sutton on the back end. But obviously Bowers has been a stud when he's played, but he hasn't played enough. And Worthy was just a bit of a swing and a miss. Chiefs wide receivers, they are a fickle bunch to try and pick from a fantasy perspective. Moving along, we have Chris. And I know I've had some fun poking fun at Chris with the whole Steelers Bengals thing and all that, but genuinely, you had a chance for a phenomenal draft that we'll never end up knowing about. I took Malik Neighbors first, IR, Jonathan Taylor. You got him as the 8th RB off the board. He's been an absolute workhorse for Indianapolis. Tyreek, IR, Alvin Kamara. You traded away. And that is actually helping you a little bit because he wasn't really performing all that much. You landed him over on Dark, but still. And then David Montgomery, as you know, he's a tough one. He can have really good weeks. He can have bad weeks. You drafted him about right, 20th RB off the board. He's in kind of the low 20s, but those injuries really cost you. That's what it comes down to. Look at that. Look at that guy right there. What a stud. Sadly, his picks have not been studs. Genty was a rookie reach, could have absolutely been amazing. Maybe still will be, but at this point in the season, he's a mid-teens running back. You traded away T. Higgins for some future draft capital, and fair enough. But you reached on Walker. You essentially gave away DK basically for free at this point, given the Stroud situation and Jalen Reed being on the IR. And Travion Henderson was another rookie reach at running back. So, sorry, Pierce. That is just the way it is. Double digits for you. Colin. Number 9 this week. Massive overreach for Nico Collins. Derrick Henry, as much as I am very sad to say, has severely underperformed. Mayfield's been good, but he actually hasn't been as good as you drafted him, which was QB7, and he's been QB14 in terms of it. So don't get me wrong, I still like Mayfield, but kind of hurts your overall draft stock. Devontae Adams, however, picked him up at 37th overall, and he's a number 8 wide receiver right now. He's cooking there with Stafford still slinging. And then Tet McMillan, drafted about right, but still kind of no real gems here for Colin. Puts him in the 9th spot. Somehow the leader of the clubhouse, that guy right there, asleep at the wheel when he's got CMC absolutely murdering people. But one player does not a good draft make. And well, you had an awesome one with him. Brian Thomas Jr. has been terribly underperforming. Omari Hampton is on the IR. George Kittle underperforming, injuries have cost him. And Marv Harrison, same thing. He's been a bit of reach. He had a good week this last week against Dallas, but that Dallas defense sucks. So it just kind of is what it is. But clearly had some steals later on, have made some good moves off the waiver wire and whatnot because you're killing it in the league overall. John, I am giving you future credit, and I hope I don't regret it. You turned Justin Jefferson, who was a 3rd overall pick, into a 1st round pick for next year, and he actually hasn't lived up to 1st overall pick or 3rd overall pick potential. So I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's ranked 12th wide receiver. You picked him up as a wide receiver too, and then dished him off for a 1st round pick. So that in theory will be good return if you can hit on it. So again, same thing. I'm giving you a little bit of future credit here, but you saw the writing on the wall and you dished off accordingly very early, as has been well documented. But looking back at some of your trades, which I did, Chase Brown was your second round pick. You did trade him for a 3rd round pick partway through the year, but he wasn't performing like a 2nd round pick. So fair enough. Jaden Daniels, obviously tough, gruesome arm injury. He was your 3rd round pick, and he's done. So that pushes you down to kind of where you are here as well. Terry McLaurin, also well documented within the group chats. He has not lived up to expectations at all. Obviously, injuries have hurt him, but he has not played well enough and been there enough. And then the last one of your round 5 is Breece Hall, which you traded away to Nathan and upgraded. You moved up in the draft for next year from a 6th to a 3rd. We will see. Time will tell. But you didn't have a terrible draft, and what you kind of did with those draft picks, fair enough. All right, moving along, we have the Vegemite man himself, Leighton. Injuries, again, but not quite to the same level as Chris. CeeDee Lamb has come back from injury. He's been solid since his return. His overall position rank is low, obviously, because he missed some time, but he's back and has been killing it. in these last couple weeks. Bucky Irvin, on the other hand, he's ninth in the average, but he's 35th running back overall, and he's out. I think he might be done for the year. Don't think that's official yet. We'll see if he comes back, but right now, your first 2 round picks have been hurt for at least a little bit, even when they were good, just not enough time. But Lad McConkey, solid 3rd round pick, wide receiver 15. Chuba Hubbard was a bit of a reach, but you got Laporta, 5th tight end off the board. He's ranked 7th overall right now, so solid group. Um, Maybe I'm projecting a little bit that CD will continue to be as good as he's been and make up for lost time, but uh, that lands you 6th this week. Moving on to the top 5, we have our commissioner, Matty Buckets. Um, Really, we're getting into the nitty gritty here, boys. He took St. Brown, been a stud. He took London in the 2nd round, traded him away to Nathan, but traded him away for Kyron Williams, who's been solid. Not as good as London, so that did cost Matt a little bit here in the rankings. But the thing that's really cost him is Joe Burrow's on the IR. That was his 3rd round pick. That was his quarterback. That's the way football goes sometimes. So that's what leads you here in 5th place, because James Cook, you got him as RB14, and he's ranked as RB3 right now. Just an incredible steal with the 40th pick. Huge kudos there. But you lose some of that when you take Jameson Williams in the 5th round, and he is absolutely a homer reach for you as a Lions fan. Has not stacked up. I don't know how often you even put him in the lineup. Um, Depends on what your other options are, I guess, but he's not really a top tier guy that you're hoping to play week after week. Into the 4 spot, just off the podium this week, we have Dark. Um, solid draft. He had the number 1 overall pick, and then 24th because of the snake draft, but he took Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase is living up to expectations. AJ Brown, on the other hand, had some really rough weeks at the start. Specifically, has some good weeks, but it's been hot and cold. So he's been a bit of a reach thus far. But then Josh Allen, first QB off the board, and um, guys, I know we make fun of him. Matt in particular makes fun of him, but he's been a stud this year. He's 2nd in the average. He's 5th overall. And given the snake draft situation for Dave, 25th pick, next wasn't picked until 48. Had to get a good QB, and he pulled the trigger, and he got one. Sadly, James Conner's on the IR. That was his 4th round pick. So that drops him out of the podium, basically. Hawkinson also has been a big overreach, 4th tight end off the board, and he's in kind of the 20s in terms of points. So that leads him off the board. But when you have a stud wide receiver and a stud quarterback, and then a serviceable tight end and a serviceable wide receiver, that that lands you in the top 4. Moving on to the bronze medal position, we have the province of Canada representative himself, Nathan Allen. Jahmyr Gibbs, solid pick. Kyron Williams, as I said, was in the trade for Drake London, which was a great trade for Nathan. Nathan got the better end of that specific part. There was more to the deal, but I would say in general, the Williams for Drake London switch was good for him, so good return on there. Mike Evans hit the IR. Tough, had a chance to break Jerry Rice's receiving season's record. It's not going to happen. He's done. And then traded away Cortland Sutton to Rory, but got DeAndre Swift on the back end and Jake Ferguson, and that's honestly ended up being a big trade for him. And so giving him credit where it's due there. He also took Bo Nix, who was the 8th QB off the board, but currently sitting at 6th, and just good value there for the 53rd overall pick. So congrats to Nathan on a bronze medal performance. That leads us to Rye Guy, 2nd place, just like he was the 2nd overall pick in the draft. He is the 2nd overall in the power rankings this week. Bijan Robinson, stud. Trey McBride, who I can admit I was pretty low on going into the draft. I thought that the rankings had him pretty high. He's been really good, and in fact, basically saved his week against John last week. But he did. Lamar Jackson, obviously, you guys probably know how I feel about him, but he's number 1 in the average. So call me a homer, but he's been great when he's played. He obviously missed a few weeks, but if projecting a little bit, kind of like I did with CeeDee Lamb for Leighton, if he stays healthy, he will continue to put up unbelievable numbers for Ryan. So he's got a stud running back, stud quarterback, stud tight end, and then he picked up a couple wide receivers in the 47 with the 47th and 50th pick, and both of them have been good value above what he projected them to be in Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. He did trade Devontae Smith, however. Takes a couple point hit on that. Got Chuba Hubbard in return, who has not really panned out, but was obviously feeling thin at running back and at quarterback when Lamar went down because he got Penix in that trade too. Anyway, that puts Ryan in the second spot, and obviously this puts me in the number one spot. And you can claim whatever bias you want, and that's fine. I can take it, and frankly, I don't care because I looked at my draft, and considering I was typing in all of the drafts for you hooligans, um, I freaking crushed the first 5 rounds, guys. Specifically the first 4 rounds. Admittedly, the fifth one, we'll see how that one plays out. But here's how this went for me. With the 11th overall pick, I took Puka Nacua, who has been on an absolute tear, 4th overall, but first in the average. I took Josh Jacobs, um, who fell to me in 7th running back off the board. He's RB5 currently. Patrick Mahomes was the 6th QB off the board, took him in the 3rd round with the 35th pick. He's the 1st overall QB. This one is really what sold it for me. With the 38th pick, I took Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver 16 off the board. He is wide receiver 2 right now, as far as fantasy points. And then, as I said, raise my hand, my 5th pick. It's not the best pick. However, it's better than some of the 5th round picks for you guys. Aaron Jones Sr., he's had some injuries. Picked him as the 22nd RB off the board. He's currently ranked 55th, but he's 32 in the average, and that's been mostly injuries. Jordan Mason has played well in his absence, so we'll see what happens for the rest of the season. But those first 4, all of them are in the top 5 of their position. And so that leaves me at number 1. And whine, complain. I'd love to hear about it in the group chat, but that's just the way it goes. And yeah, 17 minutes into this video. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of extras and the fun we had with the photos. And yeah, have a good night, gentlemen. Cheers.